Welcome to the Rewatch Ryan YouTube channel. I don't need these at all. My name is Ryan Snelling. I want to address the previous video I made for this channel that is no longer available to the public. In that video, I covered my time working with Schmoes Know and Collider. I used to host after shows for them, official after shows for both networks from 2016 to 2018. In the video, I sat here and reacted to an episode of Collider Live. In that clip of Collider Live, Christian Harloff, Roxy Stryer, Josh McCouga, and Mark Riley devoted an entire segment to publicly shaming me on air. And my reaction to that was never made available to the public. So I sat here and watched it and provided all of the context that I thought they needed in the room, but also what you needed at home. Maybe back in the day, but also now, if you used to be a fan of Collider and Schmoes Know. I felt justified in you seeing that side of things and hearing my story, and I still feel justified in my message. I was treated very poorly back in the day, and I had to endure a lot of shit. So it was only a matter of time before I felt like my story had to come out. But here's the issue. Because so much time has gone by, and because I had such a terrible experience, I feel like no matter what I do, it comes off as I'm trying to do takedown material or play gotcha with the people in the space. And I put a lot of thought into the video to try and avoid that. That's why I tried to come off as objective as possible, as level-headed as possible, limit my emotions, and my emotions definitely came out for sure, but try to limit that as much as possible and just try to provide context. And it still gave me this sick feeling. So I published that video last night. It hasn't even been 24 hours. I've felt terrible ever since, though, and it's kind of fucked up because after I hit publish, my first worry is what is Christian going to say or think if he sees the video? And that mindset took me back to working with him, and it was sad. So for those of you who don't know, Christian Harloff's whole thing when it came to creating the Schmoes Know live show, and then he took it to Collider Live as well, he always approached talking about movies in a Howard Stern-esque type way. And in the way that Howard Stern had his own after show, Christian always liked the idea of having his after show as well. I came along and we made that a reality from 2016 to 2018. And it was a really weird relationship. But I was a fan first. And when I met him and Mark, I couldn't believe that I had met them or talked to them, let alone was so quickly in a position where I was making content for them. But I was a fan first. And that's what made that job so easy, is I was watching the content anyway. Now, I realized after a lot of years of sifting through my feelings, those podcasts that I did, those episodes, they weren't for me. And they weren't for the audience. They were for Christian. And that's not how that should have gone, because it was disingenuous. And I apologize to the listeners for that. Now, did I provide great content? Yeah, I did. I think the best version of that show I did with my best friend Jay. And I owe him a lot as well for doing all of this and sticking by me the entire time. But the fact that I posted that video and just instantly went to what it was bullshit. And I was kind of angry at myself. Because it should have been for you. Over the past couple of weeks, I've made videos covering Campia. A lot of you didn't know who I was until a couple of weeks ago. I was covering the John Campia, Robert Meyer Burnett stuff, Taylor Gonzalez. And covering that content, first of all, I've always been good at it and interested in it. And watching all that stuff unfold, it was like revisiting all the Collider and Schmoes Know stuff all over again. I got riled up, and it was kind of exciting to hear from you all. Because a lot of you all enjoyed the content. A lot of you came back after all these years. They remembered me from the shows I used to host. That was awesome to hear from a lot of you guys that I hadn't heard from in years. A lot of you were intrigued by the fact that I used to work for Schmoes Know and Collider and can provide really unique commentary to all of this. And I know that. I just don't know how to do it after all this time without being something that I don't want to be and never had intention of being. I had a bad time and a lot of shit happened. And I think the one thing that I don't know, I talked about it in the video, but I don't know if the point got across. So when I reacted to the Collider Live segment and I added all that context, I mentioned that I recorded an Afterthoughts with Jay and reacted, and we laid into him. Here's all of our problems with you. And a lot of resentment came out. Over years worth, for me, came out in that episode. And it never saw the light of day because Collider would not publish it. And so Jay and I took a couple of weeks off, and we alleviated it to, not to my satisfaction, but it was alleviated enough to where Jay and I came back for several more shows. I think I only got an apology from Mark Riley. He apologized to me almost instantly because I think he felt gross by the segment that they did where they were shaming me. But, you know, with Christian, in terms of, I mean, it was alleviated to the point where I felt like we could do more shows. We still ultimately quit that year. But I think the part that I didn't focus on enough is that, yes, it had been alleviated. It wasn't like I was bringing all this up because I still had I still have complicated feelings. But the part that was missing is my resentment towards Christian and that whole experience. It actually was due to the fact that I was running the Schmoes Know podcast feed and wasn't supported by my partner. And it died on the vine after 3 months after I had worked my ass off to get it together, after I quit my job and packed up and moved across the country to work on this partnership, and I wasn't supported. And I think there's a lot of fans out there who should hear that story too. I think a lot of Schmoes Know fans in particular are wondering why that brand was completely steamrolled. And it happened right in front of me. I was managing the podcast feed, and I got a call one day saying that the brand had to be dissolved. I couldn't use it anymore, which meant Schmoes Know was officially dead, but so was our partnership. It completely removed his involvement from what I was doing, and it died completely. And there's a whole story there, and that was the last time I spoke to him. So that's where a lot of my unresolved issues come in, and I don't know that that was clear in my video, and so I still have some stuff to work out, I guess. But after I initially got over the whole what's Christian gonna think, a lot of your all's comments came in and showed a ton of support, and they made me feel really good. All the people that showed their support in the comment section before I closed it, I appreciate you for sure. And it did tell me I should be able to get to do this. I should. But a lot of you also there were a couple of you that wanted my take on what happened with Christian and Galaxy's Edge. And my reply to those comments is I wanted no part in that. Because whatever he went through during that, I think that was more than enough. And I can't imagine going through what he went through in that. So then I started to think about, well, is my video going to be misconstrued as another takedown video, as another shame video? And I didn't want that either. Was my commentary real? Yeah. Did I go through a really shitty experience? Yeah. But time has passed, and my life is not where it was all those years ago. So no matter how unresolved I might feel, things might be, at the end of the day, I could just not have that video up. And I don't know how to make content about my experience without it playing gotcha. It's easier to make content about John Campea because I don't give a shit about that guy, and I never worked with him. I wanted to be real. but I didn't want to be ugly. And so I have no idea how far the video got. I mean, I know how many people viewed it, but I don't know who viewed it. So who knows who saw the video. So it might be too late, and I'm prepared to take whatever happens. But my conscience got the better of me. And I was talking through all of this with Jay Williams, who was alongside me when it happened, but also heard from me when I was producing the video and knew what my intentions were, knew what I wanted to get across. But at the end of the day, we decided that, and because Jay and I were on the phone sorting through our feelings, sorting through my feelings, but also his feelings on the subject, Jay was very astute and said, look, we're having the conversation right now that they never had about us. Showing sympathy and trying to do what's best for everybody. And that really resonated. And as per usual, Jay provided the best insight. And that's just where I stand now. That's why that video's going to stay private. And it's why I'm going to have to really think about how to cover this space. Because again, there's a whole fan base out there that's missing this content and deserves this content, and I can provide it. There shouldn't be strings on me, but there are. And I just don't know what to do at this point. So I think the best thing to do is wait until I do. So that's the explanation of that. I hope I made it very clear. I feel like I'm running the risk of talking in circles at this point. I hope I was clear in my intentions. Till next time, I'm going to have to figure out another way to talk about Schmoes Know and Collider. But thank you so much to the people that showed me support. In the meantime, it meant a lot to me. And thank you for sticking by me after all this time. It's been really great to hear from you, especially the people that used to listen back in the day. It's been awesome. I've seen a lot of names pop up. It's been nice. So anyway, thank you so much, guys, for your support. And I'll see you on the next one.